Again, don't worry, it's only going to record me, it's not going to record you guys. And I am going to start off by reading the Campus Rec online classes waiver. So in order to make these classes as freely accessible as possible to our participants, we'll be using a verbal warning and assumption of risk at the beginning of class. Participation in this online class is voluntary. Physical activity programs may result in injury, and by participating, you assume the risk of injury that may result from your participation. We strongly recommend that you participate from a space that is suitable for this activity. For example, make sure that you've moved nearby furniture and other potential hazards. If you are participating in a yoga class like this one, or a class that involves laying on the ground, we recommend using a mat, or if you don't have one, a carpeted area. Participants are encouraged to stop if they experience pain or injury and should seek appropriate medical advice or care as needed. William & Mary Health and Wellness strongly recommends that each participant have an annual physical examination and follow the advice of your healthcare provider before participating. And with that note, I think we're ready to get started. So welcome. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry if I didn't introduce myself. My name's Kate. I'm going to be your yoga teacher for the next 60 minutes on this Earth Day flow. This is going to be a Vinyasa flow style class, so we're going to focus on matching our breath with our movement and kind of doing that. The link to the playlist is in the chat. If you wanted to use it, you can click start on your own playlist or mine, whichever one works for you. And most importantly, I hope that this class is the place where you're going to put yourself first. I hope that's why you're here today. And so my words are suggestions, they're not mandates. I'd like you to go where your body would like to go today and do whatever it is that your body would like to explore. So with that, I think we're ready to actually get started. And we're going to start laying down on our mats today. We're going to start reclined to give us as much exposure to the ground as we can. So I'm not going to lay down for now, but when you lay down, you can have your feet close together, or your feet can be wide apart on the length of your mat. You can stretch your legs out or have your feet planted. You can let the hands rest on the abdomen or come out to the side. Palms can face up or down. And we're just going to begin class the way we always begin class, by bringing that awareness to our breath. So just inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. I don't want you to change your breath yet. You're just noticing what it feels like today. Maybe that means you notice the length of the inhales and the exhales. Or maybe the temperature of the air that you're breathing, especially if we're practicing outside or by a window. And it's okay if focusing this much conscious effort on your breath feels a little uncomfortable or a little anxiety producing. That's okay. Just trust the body will figure it out. Saying to yourself simply, I am inhaling as you inhale, and I am exhaling as you exhale. And instead of worrying about trying to clear our head of other thoughts or stopping thoughts from popping up, I want you to just focus on the breath and let the mind come up with whatever it wants to think about right now. Give yourself that space to just let all those thoughts pop up, because inevitably, as we focus on our breath, we're not going to be able to carry all of that noise in our head. And so that'll just kind of float away. They'll come back. I promise the thoughts will come back. But when you're focusing on your breath, you don't have to focus so much on those thoughts. The wonderful thing about trying really consciously to practice earthbound yoga is that we get the chance to just notice our connection to the ground beneath us. So now that we're all laying down on our mats, I want you to take the time and take the breath on a little walk and just find the particular points of your body that are on the ground, that connect your body to the earth right now. Maybe that's your heels or your calves. Maybe you notice in particular the hips or the back of the thighs. Maybe your attention comes to the shoulders and the elbows and the wrists. And you just imagine with every new spot that you find connected to the earth, that you let yourself sink into the ground just a little bit more. Maybe we actually imagine that the ground underneath our mat is not really like a hardwood floor or hard packed dirt. It's more like sand at the beach. It's not going to give way completely and swallow you, but it is going to give just a little bit to support the pressure points of the body. So find those places that connect to the ground, those pressure points. And imagine the ground beneath you is like that sand that's just going to create a little more space for you to relax into. As we continue to focus on our breath and let the body relish in its connection to the ground, maybe you bring the breath to an ujjayi space. Ujjayi in Sanskrit means victorious. We also call this our wave breath. And it's very simple. All you're going to do on your exhale through the nose is just create that slight restriction at the back of your throat, almost like you're trying to fog up a mirror in front of you. It can be really helpful to actually hear your breath in this way. And it's okay if Ujjayi breath feels a little strange or foreign. We're going to come back to it throughout class. We'll have plenty of chance to practice it. And if you would like to set an intention for today's class, I'd invite you to do that now. An intention could be a mantra. It could be the reason you stepped onto your mat today. But it's where you're going to draw that energy from throughout class. If you're having a hard time thinking of an intention and you'd like to join me in mine, today my intention is whenever I'm in need of strength, I know that I can find it within already. All the strength we need is already inside us. So whatever your intention, take a deep inhale through the nose into it. And a deep Ujjayi exhale through the nose out of it. And another deep inhale through the nose. And a lengthy Ujjayi exhale. And then just bring some awareness back to the body. Maybe you make some circles with the wrists and the ankles. You can curl the toes and ball the hands in the fists and then let them go. Maybe you inhale those arms overhead and just stretch the body as if it was the first time we're getting out of bed today. And then bring the arms back down to the sides and relax. And we're going to start today by waking up the core. So I want you to inhale, those knees hover right over top of the hips. We're coming to almost as if we were doing a tabletop, but on our back here. So the arms can float here or they can lay down on the sides. And we're going to use our breath. So inhale through the nose. On your Ujjayi exhale, I want you to extend that right leg up towards the ground, and then the heel is going to come down. And then inhale that knee back up. Exhale, that left leg extends up and comes down, and then inhales back up. We're going to do this at our own breath pace for 4 more cycles. So going with your breath, inhale, heel up. Exhale, heel down. Inhale up. Exhale, heel down. Inhale, knee up. Exhale, other heel down. Inhale, knee up. And maybe this feels really good. Maybe you do want to incorporate those arms. So when the leg goes down, so does the arm. And maybe you want to make it even more challenging and bring both legs together. Inhale them up. Exhale, both legs down together. Inhale up. Just a few more breath cycles here. Whichever one you're doing, perfectly wonderful. We feel that fire in the core already. At least I do. And on your next exhale, I want you to pull those knees into the chest. Round the spine, you rock side to side. You're giving yourself a little hug for a job well done. And then maybe you reach on the inside of the knees for the outside of the feet and open up to our happy baby here. Now, happy baby is usually a place we come to towards the end of class. So if this feels a little bit different from your normal happy baby in your class, in your practice, that's totally fine. You can extend out one leg and the other you can rock side to side. But we notice how the hips feel, how the thighs feel. Releasing those feet, hug the knees into the chest again. And then I want you to just extend that right arm overhead and very gently roll onto that right side. Press into that left hand to come back to seated. And then however is most comfortable for you to come to your hands and your knees in a real tabletop position on your mat. That's where we're headed next. So wrists are stacked underneath your shoulders. Your knees are stacked underneath your hips. If you take a peek through your legs, you shouldn't be able to see your feet. And we have a nice flat back here. On your inhale, the belly button is going to droop down towards the mat. The gaze lifts at first, maybe just a couple inches in front of your mat. On your exhale, you're going to push the ground away. It's like a string is pulling the belly button up towards the ceiling, and you round the spine. Inhale down towards our cow. Exhale, push up into your angry kitty. Flow through this 3 more times at your own pace. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. That wave breath as the belly button comes up. Knowing that if the wrists are uncomfortable here, we can come either to our fists with our thumbs on the ground or come all the way down to our forearms. Exact same thing here. Pausing back in stillness whenever you're done. We're going to engage our core again a little bit more. So I just want you to imagine that you're trying to pull your wrists and your knees together on your mat, almost like you're trying to create a wrinkle in the middle of it. The belly button should tuck up and slightly back. Inhale, I want you to just float that right foot out behind us, toes point down towards the ground. Awesome. Maybe we're here today. If you're here and this is your extent, that's amazing. Maybe you want to inhale, float that left hand out in front as well. And maybe you want to exhale and curl that elbow to meet the knee and extend back out. Exhale to curl. Inhale back out. Last time, exhale, curl and hold for 3, 2, 1. Extend that hand, that leg back out, and then float them both back to the mat. Oh, maybe you shake it out a little bit. I want you to flip that right palm so your fingertips face towards your knees along the mat, and just bring each fingertip to the thumb and back again. Shake it out. Place it back on the mat. Engage your core again. Inhale, float that left foot up, toes point down towards the ground. If you're here today, incredible. Maybe you want to inhale, float that right arm out in front as well. Maybe you want to exhale and curl that elbow to meet the knee and extend back out. And exhale to curl. Inhale back out. Last time, exhale, we're going to curl and hold for 3, 2, 1. Extend back out. Float both hands and knees back to the ground. Flip the left palm. Do the same thing on this side. Bring each fingertip to the thumb and back again. Shake that hand out from where you're placed on the mat. I want you to spread your fingertips wide and really press into each of the fingertips, especially that L in between the index finger and the thumb. That's going to help protect the wrists. When we inhale to tuck the toes, exhale, very carefully lift the hips up and back for your first downward dog of class. Let's be kind to the body. Take your dog for a little walk. Bend one knee and then the other, sinking the heels towards the mat. Maybe you come to a floating child's pose and extend back up. Whatever works for you. We're going to prepare our body for those vinyasa flows that we're going to take today. So coming back to stillness when you're ready. I want you to inhale, the gaze moves in between the hands first. On your exhale, you're going to roll forward into a plank position. First one, let's be kind. Let's bring the knees to the ground. Untuck the toes, keeping the elbows as close to the body as you can. We're going to lower all the way down to the mat until our forehead or a cheek can rest. And then I want you to press the tops of your feet into the mat. Feel those kneecaps lift. You could slide a piece of paper underneath them. There's no weight in the fingertips as you inhale, and you can give me a little wave. Exhale back down. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. Feel the kneecaps lift. Very gentle weight in the fingertips this time as you come up a little bit higher. Adolescent cobra maybe. Relax the body back down. Last time, I want you to press the tops of the feet into the mat. Feel the kneecaps lift. Tense your fingertips wider than your mat width distance onto the ground and press the body up until the elbows are at about 90 degrees. This is our fierce cobra. And come all the way back down for me. Relax the body. Inhale, tuck those toes. Exhale, press the body back up and back to your downward dog. Fabulous. We have lots of options for our vinyasa flows when we take them. I want you to inhale the gaze in between the hands again. Exhale, take the slowest walk with as many steps possible to meet your feet and your hands at the top of your mat in your forward fold. Here's the thing about forward fold. I want you to have a generous bend in these knees. We're trying to get the heart as close to the thighs as we can. And maybe once you're here, you grasp opposite elbows, create that basket for the spine, and sway the head side to side. Maybe you tiptoe the fingertips to the left and to the right along the mat. Whatever works for you. And then coming back to center, back to stillness, releasing the hands wherever they're at. We're going to inhale for a halfway lift first. So on your inhale, you're going to trace your fingertips up your shins until they reach about your knees, but there's no weight in the fingertips. We're at a nice tabletop back here. Exhale all the way back down. Beautiful. This time, generous bend in the knees. The arms are going to come wide. You're going to inhale, scoop that air all the way up into your Tadasana or mountain pose. Pull those arms down the midline. Open them up to the side. You stay standing. I'm going to squat so you can see me. First time coming to standing in class, take the time to ground yourself down through your feet. Take a peek at your feet. Maybe you rock onto the toes, onto the heels, the sides of the feet. Maybe you just make some circles. But you feel yourself rooted into the ground in your feet here. You're unmovable. We're in our mountain pose. Fabulous, everybody. And when you're ready, I want you to inhale those arms overhead again. Exhale, sink the hips down and back into our Utkatasana or our chair pose. Here's the difference. My feet, the weight used to be in all of them. When I sink down into my Utkatasana, they sink back into my heels. So my toes, they could wave at you. Beautiful. We have nice proud spines here. Heart is lifted. Arms can float overhead or right here at heart center. And I just want you to focus on your breath. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. Everyone looks fabulous. 2 more breaths here. Root down in your heels. On your third exhale, I want you to pour forward into that forward fold. Whew. Inhale for that halfway lift if it makes you feel good. Exhale back down. We still have that generous bend in the knees. Fingertips come to tent on the mat, and we're going to float that left foot back to our lunge. Left knee comes down. Maybe the left toes stay tucked if that's comfortable for you. If it's not, we can flatten that back foot. And we can inhale those arms overhead. Now take a peek. My right knee is right over top or behind my ankle. If it's going over towards the toes, move that right foot out to the front a little bit for me. These arms can float right here or right here, clasped on top of your quad. And we're gonna be here for 7 breath cycles. So get comfortable. Maybe you bring your hands down to your hips. Notice that they're both still squared towards the front of the mat. We're not trying to push into the right one more than the left. If that back toe is tucked, notice what that does to the stretch as opposed to if we have it flat. You should feel it a little bit more in that quad. If the arms are floating overhead, the shoulders are down and out from the ears, like we're holding a beach ball overhead. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. On your 8th exhale, bring both hands down to frame that front foot. And then just gently send your hips back towards that left heel into our runner stretch. We can still keep that toe tucked or we can flatten it, whatever works better for you. And you can get dynamic here. Inhaling forward, exhaling back, straightening out this right leg. Inhaling forward, exhaling back, sinking back a little bit further, maybe peeling the right toes off, pointing out to the left, into the right, and into the middle so we can stretch all the hamstrings. Inhaling forward. And all of us inhaling forward, back to pause in this lunge. We're gonna flatten that back foot out finally, and we're gonna plant both hands on the outside of this foot. So we're framing this right foot with our hands. And coming back to our tabletop almost, I want you to move that right foot off the ground, but then I want you to extend it out behind you. So we're in our tabletop with that right foot extended. Maybe that left arm reaches out in front as well. And we're not gonna curl, we're just gonna hold for 5 breath cycles. Your hand and your leg are floating about parallel with the body. We're not trying to raise that foot up. On your 6th exhale, let's bring that hand and that knee back down towards the mat. Ooh, maybe make some circles with the hips. When you're ready, inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, lift the body up and back for your downward dog. Option to take a vinyasa flow if you would love to take one. If you love your vinyasa flows, you can guide yourself. If you want to flow together, we can inhale forward toward that plank position. Knees can stay off the ground this time or come down, but we're still going to lower all the way down to the mat. And take the cobra of our choice. Press the tops of the feet into the mat, kneecaps lift, whichever one felt best to your body. Come back to that one. Exhale back down. Inhale to tuck the toes. Exhale, press the body up and back to your downward dog. Inhale to gaze between the hands. Exhale, take that slow walk to meet them at the top of your mat in that forward fold. Did I mention I think we're going to sweat just a little bit today? Inhale for that halfway lift if it makes you happy. Exhale all the way back down. Again, generous bend in the knees. Inhale, those arms come wide, scoop the air all the way up. Exhale the hands down the midline. Open up to your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Beautiful flows, everybody. Take a peek down at your feet. Maybe you take a little hop. You see where the feet like to land. That's usually where they feel the most comfortable. Rock onto the toes, the heels. Build that foundation. Root down through your feet. Imagine you are a tree and there are roots growing between your feet and the ground. And come back to the breath. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. Come back to that intention if you set one. When you're ready for the other side, you're gonna inhale, those arms come up. Exhale, sink down and back into that Utkatasana, your chair pose. So your weight in your feet has shifted back into the heels. Your toes could wave on me, wave at me. That tailbone can be tucked under slightly. Heart is lifted forward. Arms can be overhead or right here at heart center. And I just want you to breathe. We're going to be here for 3 more breath cycles. On your 4th exhale, I want you to pour that heart forward into that forward fold. We still have the generous bend in our knees. Inhale for that halfway lift, only if it makes you feel good. Exhale back down. Plant those hands on the mat. I want you to peel the right foot off this time and float it back to that lunge, lifting the right knee to the ground. Right toe can stay tucked or can flatten, whichever one feels better to you. And let's inhale up. So that left knee is right over top of the ankle or slightly behind it. These hands can float right here on top of the quad or can inhale up overhead. And we're going to be here for 7 breath cycles. Maybe bring your hands to the hip. Notice if they feel even. We're not pushing too far into that left one over the right. If we started with our toe tucked, but it's starting to feel uncomfortable now, we can always flatten it whenever we want. On your 8th exhale, you're gonna pour those hands forward to frame that front foot. Back foot can stay tucked or can flatten. And we're gonna come back to that runner's lunge on this side. So sinking the hips back towards that right foot. You can inhale forward. Exhale back at your own pace. Or we can pause in this runner's lunge. Back here. Focus on our breath. We can point the toes to the left and to the right as well as to the middle to stretch all the hamstrings. 2 more breaths here. On your 3rd inhale, I want you to come back to this lunge. Hands are framing that front foot. We're going to flatten that right foot out, and like we're coming back to that tabletop, we're going to move that left foot out, but then it's going to float up directly behind us. Maybe we're here. Maybe that right arm floats out in front like a teeter-totter. And we're going to hold it for 5 breath cycles. Hands, shoulder, foot, all floating around the same place in line with the body. On your 6th exhale, float that hand and that knee back down towards the mat. And you shake it out a little bit. Maybe you flip the left palm, release the wrist. When you're ready, inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, lift the hips up and back for your downward dog. Option for a Vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Feel free to guide yourself. Feel free to flow with me if you'd like. Inhaling forward. Exhaling either all the way down or halfway. Inhale up into Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back to your downward dog. And then all of us are gonna bring our knees to the ground, untuck the toes and the hips over the heels for a child's pose. Child's pose should be a place of restoration for you. So you're welcome to come here at any time during class, especially during those vinyasa flows. And the only thing we have to do here is come back to the breath. Focus back on the breath. Come back to that intention if you set one. If you joined me in mine or you would like to, just as a reminder, the intention that came to me today was wherever I am, whenever I am, whoever I am, when I need strength, I know that I can find it within me already. So once you've reflected on your intention, you've come back to the breath. You feel the heart rate maybe come down a little bit, and you feel ready for the next part of our flow. I'm just gonna have you inhale up towards that tabletop position. Maybe taking a round or 2 or 3 of cat and cow, if that speaks to you once you get there. Moving at your breath pace. And when you're ready, on an inhale, I'm gonna have you tuck the toes. On an exhale, lift the hips up and back for your downward dog. Option to take a vinyasa flow here if you'd love to. Move with your breath. Inhale forward, exhale down all the way or half. Inhale forward to cobra or upward facing dog, and exhale back to your downward dog. Inhale the gaze between the hands. Exhale, walking or floating to meet them at the top of your mat in that forward fold. Some beautiful floats I can see even from here. Inhale for that halfway lift if it makes you feel good. Exhale back down. Bend those knees wide, arms come wider. Inhale, scoop the air all the way up. Exhale, pull it down the midline. Open up to your Tadasana. Root down through your feet. You feel unmovable. And when you're ready to play with that a little bit, on your inhale, those arms come up. On your exhale, you sink down and back into our old friend Uttanasana. The weight is shifted back into the heels, rooting down through the heels. And we're gonna be here for 3 breath cycles. Use the time to find a drishti, a non-moving focal point, somewhere in front of you that you can see. Because we're gonna begin to balance just a little bit. On your 4th inhale, really connect with that non-moving focal point and just peel that left heel off the mat. And with grace and ease, you're gonna float it back to our lunge. But then you're gonna pivot that back foot open and inhale those arms up. We're coming to our warrior 2. So both palms for me. Inhale, lengthen that front leg. Exhale back down. That right knee is still over top or slightly behind the ankle. It's also not tracking towards the inside of our mat. Back foot is about parallel with the back of your mat. Arms are floating at shoulder height. Flip both palms for me. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last time, flip both palms. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale back. And I want you to bring both palms together as if we're pressing some energy in towards the center. And we're gonna pivot back towards that lunge. And then I want you to step a little bit forward with that back foot until both legs can be pretty much lengthened. We're still not locking out either of the knee joints here, but we're coming to our pyramid. So both toes are pointing towards the top of our mat here. We've closed the hip back up towards the front. Beautiful. Catch your breath. Hold the arms in front of you as if you're holding a gift. And on your exhale, I want you to just extend it forward like you're reaching handed to somebody. And the gaze comes down, the back is flat, and we float parallel to the ground here. Arms can extend out overhead. That puts a little more pressure on your legs and your lower back so they can stay right here at heart center. Our gaze is over that right toe. Beautiful, everybody. Ground down through your feet. We're going to be here for 3 more breath cycles. On your 4th inhale, I want you to bring those hands down towards the ground and just step forward into that forward fold. Beautiful job. Inhale for that halfway lift, offer that heart up if it feels good. Exhale back down. Take a moment, maybe you walk to the left, to the right. Maybe you sway the spine, gently shake the head no and nod it yes. Whatever works for you. But you know exactly where we're headed on the other side. So when you're ready, inhale, generous bend in the knees, arms come wide, scoop the air all the way up. Pull that energy down the midline. Open it up here in your Tadasana. We still feel rooted towards the ground. We feel not unmovable. And when you're ready, I want you to inhale those arms overhead. Exhale, sink down and back into our old friend Utkatasana. Weight is back in the heels. Your toes could wave at me. Arms can float overhead, right here at heart center. Heart is lifted forward. Beautiful. And I just want you to breathe for 3 breath cycles. Connect with your drishti, your non-moving focal point. Pick a new one if the last one didn't really work for you. And on your exhale, I want you to peel that right heel off with grace and ease. Float it back to your lunge first, and then pivot so that we're coming to our warrior 2 on this side. Flip both palms for me. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale back down. That left knee is over top or behind the left ankle and is not tracking in towards the right. Right foot is about parallel with the back of the mat. Arms float right here at shoulder height. Flip both palms for me. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale down. And again, flip your palms and then feel like you're pulling the energy in towards the midline. And you're going to pivot back to that lunge and then step forward so that both sets of toes are facing towards the front of your mat here. Hips are facing that way as well. We're holding that present in front of us. And when you're ready, you extend it out to offer it up. We're not locking this knee joint here. We have a micro bend in it, even though it is lengthened. Arms can float here or right here at heart center. And I just want you to breathe for 3 breath cycles. Nice flat backs. Beautiful. On your exhale, bring those hands down to frame that front foot. Gently step forward into that forward fold. Inhale for that halfway lift if it makes you feel good. Exhale back down, hands can attend on the mat. I want you to step back with the left foot and then the right foot into your plank position. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Remembering that cat and cow and child's pose. Beautiful options. And we're all going to meet in a child's pose whenever you're ready. Maybe big toes come together and the knees come wide and you sink the hips back over the heels. And come back to your breath. In our child's pose, when we feel rounded like a little river pebble, we also feel connected to the ground. Maybe it feels different when we're lying on our back and we could feel our heels pressing into the ground, or our elbows or our shoulders. And maybe it feels different than when we're standing in our Tadasana and we could root down through our heels into the ground. Our connection to the earth. Sometimes the context changes, but it's always there. So I want you right now in your child's pose to find that connection. Figure out where it is for you. Maybe it's along the shins, or maybe it's in the palms if they're flat on the ground. Find where you feel the most connected to the ground in your child's pose. Celebrate that space with a few deep inhales and lengthy Ujjayi exhales. And when you're ready, when your body tells you it's ready, not a second before, you're going to just inhale back up towards that tabletop position. Maybe take a couple rounds of cat and cow. Remembering that we can reverse the breath cues if they don't feel great in our body. So you can inhale the belly button up and exhale it down if you wanted. We have one more part to add on to our flow. So just preparing yourself for that. When you're ready, inhale to tuck the toes, exhale to lift the hips up and back to that downward dog. Take a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Inhale to roll forward. Exhale either all the way down or halfway. Inhale up. Exhale back. And then inhale the gaze between the hands again. Exhale, walking or floating to meet them at the top of your mat in that forward fold. Inhale for that halfway lift if it makes you feel good. Exhale back down. Generous bend the knees, arms come wide. Inhale that air all the way up. Pull the energy down. Ground through your feet. Notice how it feels to have the hips stacked over the heels, the shoulders stacked over the hips. You feel a continuous line of energy and grounding here. That's pretty cool. All right, so my mat is a little fluffy today, so I'm gonna move it out of the way for just this next portion so I can be on the ground. But you can step on your mat. If you're doing this on a carpeted surface with your mat, you might not need the mat if it makes you feel a little less stable, whatever works for you. Grounding down through the feet. Inhale, spine lengthens. Exhale, spine stays where it is. Shoulders come down and out from the ears. When you're ready, find your drishti, your non-moving focal point. Arms can be here or right here at heart center. Very gently bring your weight to bear on that right foot. Still not locking out that right knee joint. Inhale, float that left heel up. And then kind of like a puppet on a string, you're gonna inhale, float that left knee up so it's about level with that left hip. I want you to flex through that left foot. And when you're ready, begin to tilt forward and bring that foot back behind you. We're coming to our warrior three. So we're pivoting forward. Our hearts are right over top, just like they were in that pyramid, but that back leg is floating now. Toes point down towards the ground. Arms can stay here at heart center, can float to the side, can float in front of you, can float behind you, whatever works. We're using our core, we're using our leg strength. Beautiful. If you're wobbling, it means that you're working. We love to see that. 2 more breaths here. You got it. On your third exhale, I want you to pull that knee up, float it at that hip, And then gently step it down. Enjoy the heat for a minute before you shake it all the way. Shake that right leg out. Show it some love. Fabulous job, everybody. Whew, shake it out. One more side to go. So really ground through your feet again. You rock under the toes, the heels. Hips stacked over those heels. Shoulders stacked over those hips. We feel the energy that can course through our body in just one direct line. Arms can be here or at heart center. Find your drishti, your non-moving focal point. Bring your weight to bear on that left foot. We're still not locking out that left knee joint. Micro bend in it. Pull that right heel off till just the toes, like a marionette puppet. Inhale that right knee up so it's level with that right hip, flexing through that right foot. When you're ready, tilt forward, bring that leg back, and open to your warrior three on this side. Notice how it feels different. Notice where the hands want to float on this side. Maybe they're here, or out to the side. And I just want you to breathe. Everyone's doing so wonderfully. Root down through that left foot. Use the earth stability to find your own. 2 breaths. One more breath, you got it. And when you're ready, bring that right knee up and down to join the left. Enjoy it for a moment. Shake it out. Fabulous job, everybody. When you're ready, arms come up. Exhale with a nice flat back to the earth into that forward fold. Last one. Inhale for that halfway lift if it makes you feel good. Exhale all the way back down. Hands can attend on the mat. Step back with the right foot and then the left foot. Option for a vinyasa flow of your choice. We're all going to meet in child's pose when you're ready, which is also a wonderful choice for vinyasa flows. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. Reflect on how much work your body did today. How much intention you just did all of the movements with. You chose to put your body first. You chose to focus on your breath. You chose to celebrate our connection to the earth on this Earth Week Vinyasa class. And your body wants to thank you, I promise. And it will do that in our cool down and our Shavasana in particular. So come back to that Ujjayi breath. Come back to that intention. We're not quite finished using it yet in class. Pull more focus from it. And when you're ready, you're just going to inhale up to that tabletop position. And then however's most comfortable for you to find a seated position on your mat, that's where we're heading next. So I want you to plant your feet on your mat and then let the knees come out to the side, soles of the feet come together in front of us. This is our Baddha Konasana, our bound angle. Inhale to find that length in the spine, shoulders come down and out from the ears. We have a nice tall back, fabulous. And then the heart is really gonna guide the stretch forward. So on your exhale, the heart is gonna be what's trying to reach towards the toes. So we're keeping the space between the chin and the chest. We're honoring that space to try to give the heart as much room as it can to come down towards the toes. And we have so many options here. So we can bring the feet closer to the body and feel the stretch on those inner hips, inner thighs. We can bring the feet further away from the body, and you're gonna feel the stretch more on the outer hips and the lower back, whatever your body needs. And once you've found your stillness, I want you to take 3 deep breath cycles. Try to relax the shoulders, relax the hands. On your 4th inhale, maybe you begin to tuck the chin towards the chest and round that spine. And notice if that really changes how you feel the stretch. Maybe it doesn't, and that's okay. Inhale, the gaze comes up towards the toes. Exhale, just as slowly as we folded. We're gonna come back to seated. Gently slide the hands underneath the knees, guide them together again. Maybe you windshield wiper them out to the left, to the right. And then extending your legs out long on your mat in front of you, toes point up towards the ceiling. It's okay if there's a little space between the backs of your knees and the mat. We want our hips and our sits bones to feel equally planted and grounded here. Inhale again to find that length in the spine. On your exhale, the heart is still going to be what's guiding the movement. Imagine it kind of like an ocean wave. The heart is the crest of that wave. You want to pour it forward towards the legs. The arms are kind of just along for the ride. I don't want you to grab onto the feet or the ankles. They're just alongside here. And look, it's okay if the space between your knees and your mat becomes even more pronounced as you fold. Kind of like a seated forward fold, because it's exactly what it is. We have that generous bend in the knees to support the body here. Maybe as you fold, that gap lessens just a little bit. We're still not using the hands. Gaze is forward towards the toes until you very gently, maybe you round the spine again, tuck the chin towards the chest. Notice how that changes how you feel it. Wiggle the toes, remind them they're still there. Inhale, the gaze comes up towards the toes. Exhale, use your hands, walk the body back up. Bring the hands behind the body, open the heart up to the ceiling. And back, beautiful job. I want you to plant your feet on the mat again and scoot forward so there's enough room to lay back down behind us. We have a couple of options on how to lay back down. If you don't want to roll, you're just going to lay the body down and then inhale the knees into the chest. If you would like to roll a little bit, you're going to hold onto the legs and let the spine rock back. And you're going to roll along the length of your spine just a couple times. Until you finally come to stillness. We're all going to meet here, hugging those legs in towards the chest. Maybe you rock side to side. Maybe you decide to open up again towards that happy baby, the way we did at the very beginning of class, and you notice how it feels different. Maybe it doesn't feel that different, that's okay. And then releasing both feet to come back down towards the mat. Knees facing up to the ceiling like mountains. I want you to walk your feet in towards the body so you could almost brush your heels with your fingertips. And once you've gone there, press into the feet, root into the ground, and just lift the hips up towards the ceiling into your bridge. Arms can clasp underneath the body or can come out to the side. And we're just gonna pause here for a few breath cycles. Take 5 at least. If you want to take more, you can take more. Notice what it feels like to pull your knees closer together or to let them splay out wider, which one feels better to your body. On that 6th exhale, bring the hips back down towards the mat. Maybe you just windshield wiper the knees out to the left and to the right. And if there are any final asanas you would like to take for your own practice, you can feel free to explore those now. But if you're ready for your Shavasana, you're gonna let those legs extend long on your mat. Toes come apart and hands come to the side of the body. We have returned to the place where we started in our class. We started in this position. So I want you to come back to that idea that the ground feels like sand and it's creating some space for you to sink into it. So notice those places that are in contact with the earth. Find them again. And let them settle into the sand that makes room for them on your mat. Our connection to the earth and to grounding doesn't always have to feel so rigid or inflexible as when we stand with our feet on the ground in Tadasana and root through our feet and feel unmovable. Sometimes it feels soft, like sand. So I want you to relax the shoulders, the elbows, the hips, the knees, the ankles. Relax the rib cage, let it all sink into your mat. Trust that the ground will be there to hold it all. Very gently beginning to bring some awareness back to the body. Wiggling the fingers and the toes. Making really small circles with the wrists and the ankles. Inhale those arms overhead. Take a full body stretch like you're just getting out of bed for the first time today. And very gently roll to your left side, using your bicep as a cushion for your head. Maybe the knees hug in closer to the heart, in kind of a fetal position. I want you to reflect on that intention if you set one. Let it go if it no longer serves you. Hold it in if you want to carry it with you. Remember all the different ways that we explored to find that connection to the earth and to grounding. Remember that you don't have to be in a class or on a yoga mat to do it. Take a moment, feel how the body says thank you for putting it first. And when you're ready, I want you to spread the fingertips on your right hand wide and feel the connection between the earth and your fingertips. And just press into them to come back to seated at the top of your mat, where we're going to end class all together. Bringing our hands onto our knees for a minute, I want you to bring your ring finger and your thumb together. This is our earth sign. This is our grounding mudra. Mudra means hand position. If it's comfortable, we can inhale those mudras up and overhead. Pull them down the midline, pausing at the forehead, maybe think kind thoughts. Pausing at the lips, maybe speak kind words. And pausing finally at the heart, maybe have kind intentions to ourselves and to those around us. Thank you all so much for sharing with me this morning. May you all be happy. May you be safe and healthy. May you walk this earth with peace and at ease. And may you find the space to help others and to help yourself along the way. Namaste, yogis. Thank you very much. I'm going to pause the recording.